Hello, my lovelies. This is Dan. Just a quick intro to say that we decided to publish this bonus episode from Patreon to the masses, to you, so everyone can listen to it. So you can see what kind of episodes you're gonna get on Patreon by only giving us $1 or £1 a month. You can get one of these every month, and you can recommend us movies such as this. This was a recommendation. We do trivia, we do like in-depth discussions about cinema and movies. So yeah, come join us, join our little community, patreon.com/IHateYourMovie, patreon.com/IHateYourMovie. Thank you, enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome to I Hate Your Movie, where we inflict movies onto each other. This week, you inflicted a movie on us. Emily, you did it.
Thank you, Emily, for engaging.
Yeah, thank you for engaging. We watched From Beyond by Stuart Gordon. Wow, that just pulled out from so deep in my brain. Directed by Stuart Gordon, famously the writer of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Really?
Yeah.
No way. That's going to come up again.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
Because the funny thing is, so this guy is like a real author, kind of person. He used to run like illegal theaters, showing illegal shows, and they like bust him up,
Okay.
His first movie was a Reanimator. He became this movie guy, and he almost made it to big success, where he pitched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids to Disney. But apparently he got so mad at the table of negotiations that he refused to direct, because people were just talking about money, this, money, that, and he was just caring about the creative project. And he never worked in big movies again.
That's a shame.
Yeah. I really respect this guy. I feel like I'm very similar to him.
Poor.
Poor and
unemployed.
Poor and unemployed, but, got that spark. After my death, they'll love me. So, From Beyond, directed by Stuart Gordon, starring Barbara Crampton.
It is Barbara Crampton and Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah. It's
Or
really...
Combs.
It's really telling that if this was like a big A+ movie release, I would have no idea who these people are. But because this is like a B movie and it's in my world, I know all these people.
Margot who? What?
Yeah. Johnny Deep. Rick, what did you think of From Beyond?
So, my one sentence review, and I don't want to be disrespectful to Emily because she might actually like this film. It's a Wish.com The Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean... I like the film as well.
Okay.
And still think that's accurate. Yeah, obviously this film didn't have the largest of budgets, but, it had the dream. Yeah, I really like this movie. I've seen it before.
To be fair, I enjoyed it, largely.
Yeah.
Obviously some bits in it that were questionable. But
Yeah.
Thing was, 79?
82.
82?
Yeah, that's what I remember.
So this came out in 86. It does very much feel like retreading a lot of the same kind of like B-movie horror elements.
I think that might be accidental because The Thing wasn't popular for a really long time. And I think it's accidental because it's a HP Lovecraft and it has the similar elements of just weirdo creatures. Yeah, so this is based on a short story by HP Lovecraft. It's a really short story.
Yes, it is.
It basically covers the first scene of the movie.
By the way, I love HP Lovecraft. I love his writing. I love his writing. I don't love him because he was a terrible person.
Yeah. I love his cat naming choices.
Cat naming choices?
Yeah.
What did he name his cats?
A racial slur.
Oh my god. Yeah. He wasn't a great person. He was obviously very gay as well, which he didn't admit. Anyway, his writing's spectacular.
Yeah.
His choice of words is unbelievably magical, much like my dialogue.
Yeah. So From Beyond...
Yes.
Is about Jeffrey Combs and the guy he's helping. They create this machine, the resonator, which helps them stimulate their pineal gland, which is a gland in the brain that's responsible for like sex drive and basically sexual stuff. Plus, they think it is an extrasensory organ.
Yeah, it starts off saying it's basically like the appendix of the brain.
Yeah.
They say it's a completely unused part of the brain. But the further the film goes on, the more attributes they assign to it retroactively.
Yeah, I guess so. It all made sense in my head.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the film starts with Jeffrey Combs turning on this machine and pink lights came on and he sees all these creatures swimming, and the idea is that because now he has all these extrasensory abilities, he can see these creatures that were always there, he just hasn't seen before. And that's, I think, the seed of the idea in the Lovecraft as well. All these things that's always there, we just don't see it.
It was an interesting choice. I'd really like to know if the people who made The Colour from Outer Space watched this film, because they used the same colour.
Yeah, I hate The Colour Out of Space.
Film.
It's horrible.
Okay. It's really funny because as that film came out, and I didn't know anything about the film, but I read the short story just before it. There's no way. It's a terrible choice for a HP Lovecraft film because it's literally an indescribable colour.
Yeah.
That's the point of the story.
Yeah, but that's all Lovecraft, isn't it? That's what it boils down to at the end, is like undescribable colour, undescribable monster.
Yeah, but you can still like extract a certain, like the Cthulhu thing that he created. There's loads and loads of images of that, and you can go, okay, yeah, that's Cthulhu, that's roughly what he said, and that's a horrible monster. Something like an undescribable colour. It's impossible. Like,
Yeah, it's just a bad movie anyway. It's just, it tries to be one of these kind of movies. It just fails on every level.
Back to the film we were actually watched.
Yeah, I think the pink... So Reanimator, if you watch Reanimator, is a very green movie. The way this is like a pink movie.
It's a pink, much like the Barbie movie.
Yeah, yeah. This would make a great double feature with Barbie. So basically, yeah, they turn on this machine and pink light is everywhere and this creature's swimming and everything.
Bites his face.
Bites his face.
Before that, so his guy's writing on his computer and it says ready. And my first note after that was he's going to shrink the kids.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
How did you make that?
I don't know, it just looked like a machine, like it's an 80s film, and it looked like a film that would shrink something, and it very much looked like the machine in the back of my mind, because I haven't seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids for about 20 years. It just looked in the back of my mind that it was that kind of machine that shrunk the kids.
It might be accidentally, but that's a weird connection to make that turned out to be real. Wow. He runs up after he realizes that the machine works. He runs up to his Professor Pretorius. Everyone has a silly name in this film.
They have the same names as the short story.
That's what I thought. That's why I thought it would be like silly. That's what, McMichaels. No one has that name.
Is it McMichaels?
Yeah,
she's McMichaels.
That's stupid. So he runs up to Pretorius. Machine works. He's doing something kinky in his room already. Or he's just undressed.
I think he's just undressed in his room.
But there's the implication. We kind of see into the room. And there's like all sorts of sex toys and...
Oh, I didn't notice that at that point.
Yeah. So as Jeffrey Combs runs up the stairs to Pretorius, we see an old Confederate flag, the old style, not the one usually people associate with the Confederacy. And the Don't Tread on Me poster, which is usually associated with the Proud Boys and, right-wing nuts in America, which is like a coiled up snake. I thought there was a new thing. It's weird to say in this movie. I thought it was like a new symbol, but I guess not then.
No, people have been dickheads since the beginning of time.
Well, that's news to me. And it's very like in shots. I was wondering if he's like trying to say that Pretorius is like a right-wing nut or something.
Maybe.
Yeah, I know the director is very left-wing, like illegally left-wing.
Okay.
That's why his theater shows are busted up all the time. And yeah, the machine's working.
Yeah, the eels attack.
Yeah.
There's a song in Mighty Boosh. It's called Eels Up Inside Ya.
Eels up inside ya, finding an entrance where they can. Boring through your mind, through your tummy, through your anus. Eels. Eels.
Appropriate.
They go back upstairs and Pretorius turns the machine back on, which is always good news in horror films. And they start to freak out. Pretorius is grabbing his head and he says, "Something's coming." And it cuts to outside, and it's like for some reason, like it seems like gunshots are happening.
Yeah, I think that was just a bad effect of just glass shattering.
Okay, but it genuinely looked like gunshots. It was like a proper little circular holes in the wall.
Yeah, I think they just shot it with an air gun or something.
Yeah. So it cuts to the neighbour, and the neighbour's very upset at the loud noises next door. She's on the phone. She's phoning the police. She's got a dog. She wants the police to come, and the police hang up on her. So the police aren't coming at this point. I just want to point that out. And the dog runs out the house into Pretorius and Crawford's house, and it goes up the stairs to see what's going on. At this point, Crawford comes running out of the house. He's petrified for his life.
With an axe. I think the implication was that he was like destroying the machine and electricity.
Now, I don't really understand what happens next at all, because Crawford starts running down the stairs and out of the house. The neighbour then starts screaming, and I don't know why. She's chasing after Crawford, she's hitting him, and then he's running out of the house. At this point, the police show up. They weren't going to show up because they hung up on her anyway, and then they see Crawford running, pin him to the car for no reason other than he's being attacked by this neighbour lady. Very much the innocent party in this, but they still just fuck him up anyway.
They did hang up, but maybe they were like in a rush to.
Okay, yeah. They couldn't even say, we're on our way. They just hung up.
Yeah.
All right, boys, let's go.
Yeah. I found that funny in that scene where the lady thinks that Crawford is a serial killer or something, but as she runs down the stairs, Crawford like pushes her away. Is like, no, I'm running away. I like that. And she's like, I don't know what to do now.
Then you have the intro, the long-ass intro.
Yeah, well, it's an older movie.
That was good, though. It gave me an opportunity to look up who Jeffrey Combs was.
Yeah.
Combs. Like
comb.
I actually recognise him from Star Trek.
Yeah.
As most people do, I assume.
He played various Star Trek characters in various Star Trek franchises. I think he just likes shit on his forehead. I think that's in his contract. It's like, I'm not working for you unless you put some crap on my forehead.
Some agent's demands.
Yeah. Him, Barbara Crampton, they're both like these B-movie legends. She's really good in this. She turns from a completely mild-mannered psychiatrist to like a sex-crazed rapist.
That's how it usually goes.
Yeah.
This is where she comes into the film.
Yes.
We've cut to the psychiatric hospital, and Crawford's there as a patient because nobody believes that a creature bit off Pretorius's head, as you wouldn't. And again, it doesn't really click, this scene, for me, because she's supposed to be this expert in schizophrenics, and she's supposed to have lots of dealings with psychotic people, and she walks through the psychiatric hospital and she keeps looking in rooms like, oh my god, I can't believe that person's like that. And then she looks in a room and the guy's like wanking off. And
you misunderstood that.
Wow.
She was like, oh, I can't believe how they treat these people.
Right.
That was the whole thing they were setting up with that doctor. Barbara Crampton, she believes in rehabilitation, and the other doctor doesn't and believes in putting people away and medicating them.
Dr. Catherine McMichaels.
You see how silly that is? Is Lovecraft American? What's his nationality?
I don't know.
I'm just wondering if he's like a Norwegian or something, and he's like, what's Americans are called? McMichaels, Pretorius, Bubba. The black one is called Bubba.
Bubba Brownlee.
Bubba Brownlee.
Oh my god. It's so bad. Do you think Bubba Brownlee was in Lovecraft's original?
He could only dream of such racism in his work.
Oh my god, it's so bad.
But Bubba was in Forrest Gump as well, and he was black.
Okay.
Forrest Gump isn't racist, is it?
Oh,
Ooh.
Controversial. Anyway, Jeffrey Combs meets Barbara Crampton. And I really like this about this scene, by the way. Catherine McMichaels talking to Crawford. You're a rising star in the science world. You went to the Miskatonic University.
What did that mean?
So that's one of the made-up cities in the HP Lovecraft kind of universe. There's that, and there's the Arkham.
Yeah,
Arkham is
I knew about that
as well.
I didn't know about Miskatonic.
Almost every HP Lovecraft story is completely disconnected from the other. They all share the same kind of universe. The original MCU. HPU.
HPU. Bubba Smash.
2,000 years later.
Cool. Jeffrey Combs looks very mentally unwell. He is very mentally unwell because he just saw a horrible thing happen. I think you laughed at this bit where he said he bit off his head like a gingerbread man.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was like so seriously delivered, such a silly line. He's giving it his all. He's like really going for it. But it's like such a silly line. There's like a bit of a contrast to it.
So clearly he looks insane, but Dr. McMichaels decides to give him a CAT scan anyway. Dr. Block, who is the bad
Dr.
Doctor.
Cockblock.
doesn't want to give him, and he's really scared about having a CAT scan.
I think the implication was that, yes, he is scared because he's seen some shit, but also his pineal gland has grown, so it's probably actually is messing with his head,
Okay.
like physically.
Yeah.
So I think he was already a bit crazy at this point.
But yeah, he doesn't want the CAT scan. This is where they find out that his Penius gland
Penius.
is growing out of his, is growing in his head.
His pineal gland. He's growing a tiny, skinny dick in his head.
Yeah, so his pineal gland is growing, and he may not be crazy after all. Shock horror. And Dr. McMichaels wants to take him back to the scene of the trauma to see if she can kind of understand what went wrong with him, because like you say, she wants to treat him.
Yeah, but I think she's at this point eager to check out the experiment itself as well, and she thinks there might be some legitimacy to it.
So she decides to take him back to the scene of the thing, and the police don't want to release him either. They get assigned Bubba
Brownlee.
Ken Foree.
Ken Foree, he's also like a big B-movie guy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He very much seemed a lot more B-movie to me than the others, because the others are pretty good actors. He seemed very of the vein of kind of like Samurai Cop.
No.
Yeah, his
No.
acting was very kind of...
I mean, it wasn't as good, and he wasn't given as much, to be fair. But I think he was adequate.
Okay.
I don't think he was bad.
I don't think it was good.
Okay.
The others were good.
They were given a lot. That's one thing I don't like about this movie. He doesn't really get changed, or he doesn't really get much to do. Other than, I guess, he's kind of the rational guy, weirdly enough. My favorite line in this one, later they argue, and then Barbara Crampton is like, this could be a discovery just like so-and-so discovered the amoebas. And he's like, yeah, but so-and-so wasn't down with the amoebas. And he's right.
Yeah, he very much plays the audience.
Yeah, I guess so,
You
yeah.
know, the kind of, that's a stupid idea. Why are you turning the machine back on? It just tried to kill you.
Yeah.
Which I think you need in a lot more horror films.
Mm-hmm.
Someone very vocal of like, this is a bad idea.
Well, do you want to know a fun fact?
Do, always.
The house, the exterior, is a miniature.
It's a,
Yeah, it's one of the best effects because you don't notice it.
that seems unnecessary. They could have just filmed it outside of a house.
Maybe they wanted a spooky house. Maybe because of the windows blow out and we see exteriors of that.
Maybe.
I don't know. And there's lots of shots where you see the house and like there's the dog that runs up to it and thing. And
Okay.
yeah, it's pretty well done.
Oh, don't worry. I'm Sergeant Brownlee, Bubba Brownlee. We used to play football. We're all crazy. What? What?
I think that was just to set up that he's, physically strong, and then kind of comes up later. It's not really important, but I guess he's the muscle in the group and he gets to do some muscly things.
So now you've got the trio, Happy Trio. For 1986, a surprisingly diverse trio.
Yeah.
My favourite bit of this as well is like, if you did it today, it would kind of be a little nod, but I don't know if they did it on purpose. It's when McMichaels and Tillinghast walk out of the hospital and he shakes Tillinghast's hands. Oh, you must be Dr. McMichaels.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, actually, I am. The trio go to the house. They go back to the house where the experiment happened.
The gang goes back to the haunted house.
Yes.
And Scooby-Doo.
That's what I was going to say. they get in the mystery machine. They actually do get in a van.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. This is like a prequel to Scooby-Doo. Oh, Scooby is the monster. He turns into a dog.
Did he turn into a dog?
He kind of a goop monstery way, but yeah. Eventually, in my imagined timeline, he turns into a dog.
Does Scooby-Doo make noises? Is he the one going roar roar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fuck you, Shaggy.
That was like some demon voice shit.
Fuck you, Shaggy. Fuck you, you cunt. I'm turning into Mr. Bean now.
Suddenly. And this scene's really funny when they get back to the house because they all go into like the lobby of the room and they all just look around the lobby and they turn around and Tillinghast is gone.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, we lost him. Like, you were in the same room. How did you lose your mental patient that you're supposed to be looking after? That was so immediate.
You're selling it a bit short, all right? That was something else that happened. It is still a bit silly, but Bubba trips over some wires, and he explains that they wired up and changed the electricity in the whole house, so they wired up everything to this machine. And Bubba and McMichaels are talking, and as they're talking, he slips away.
Still.
All right. It was a bit silly, yeah.
don't know if it was like because they couldn't afford cameras that did like dark lighting, or the cameras weren't good enough that day. But then they start going on about, oh no, we need to find the lights, and they're looking around as everything's really dark.
Yeah.
But it's a very well lit room. You can clearly see like everything.
Yeah, hard to tell, but like a scene later, there's a spotlight kind of
Yeah.
section, so I don't think it's the budget.
They turn the power on and they're walking upstairs. I wrote this down at the time because I didn't think it made any sense. I didn't think it would come up later in the film. This is where Bubba finds porn video
Oh, yeah.
of the Doctor.
Yeah. I think the implication was that the Doctor was probably already like influenced by the resonator, and he's already like, that's why he's a bit too sex crazed, and that's why he's at the beginning he's like turns the machine back on. It's like he's already been converted. I love the machine, by the way, but not in a genuine way, but in a silly way. There is a, you know, that blue orb that's on the center of everything.
Yeah.
When they like shine light through it, there's like a brain model in there.
Okay.
And it just looks silly. It's like a brain in a jar kind of thing. And then the resonator, the actual active part that works is like these tuning forks.
Yep.
It's a bit silly, but
That's the resonator. That's the point. It's
I
supposed
know.
to make noises.
I know, but
The tuning forks is the most sensible bit about the whole design.
it reminded me of 60s Star Trek when the lemon juicer was a spaceship, you know, like it's kind of like that.
Not the last time that a brain's going to be in a jar
No.
in this, by the way. This must be one of your favourite bits because they've gone up to the top and they found the machine. Talk to me about the outline on the floor.
Oh yeah, that's like funny in two ways. First of all, they don't do the NCIS outline ever. That's just a made up for TV and
Is it
film.
really?
Yeah, that's not helpful. They got pictures. It doesn't happen. They just made that up for like TV and film. They did a body outline of him, but his head was twisted off. So instead of his head, there's just this like cone shape. They just draw over that. That was funny. I think some of the humor in this is intentional.
Yeah.
Because Stuart Gordon is like, not a regular filmmaker, and he kind of, you know, doesn't take himself too seriously. It doesn't come across in this as much, but Reanimator is straight up like a horror comedy.
Okay. The aliens in this reminded me of Sliver. The film Sliver.
I haven't seen Slither, but I
You
know
know-
it's a James Gunn, right?
It's like James Gunn's like first film. Well, second film after Scooby-Doo.
Well, he wrote lots of other films for a Z movie company called Troma,
Right.
like Tromeo and Juliet,
Oh.
and things like that.
And then there's a lovely cooking scene.
Yeah.
For no good reason.
So the editing was really awkward around that part because they are down in this basement and hard cut to just Bubba just scooping out what looked like cauliflowers.
Yeah, I
What's
think
that?
it's like dumplings.
Oh yeah, they were like
stew and dumplings.
they were giant dumplings, like.
Yeah.
And I think the point of that was that they look like brains.
Okay.
I think that was the idea. And we don't see them eat or anything.
No.
They just hard cuts back again to the lab again.
The story, yeah, it just cuts for like a good 2 minutes of him cooking.
No, it wasn't that long. He's
I reckon it would be. I reckon if you timed it, it'd be about 2 because he walks over to the pot, lifts it up, takes it back to the thing, scoops each one out.
yeah, the scooping
individually,
what took the most time.
and then he holds to the pot and he smells it. It's like
I can't see clearly what the point of that scene is, but I think there was a point of that scene. Like later on, Bubba, he throws up. But there's also something with food, but I don't quite see it clearly or what it is, you know? It might be just that it looks like a brain and it's like a visual kind of stuff.
right.
But there is definitely a thing with food throughout the film. Not as much as sex, like a B theme. Like when Jeffrey Combs at the end goes around and he tries to eat something, he just throws it up immediately. It's super awkwardly edited. It stands out so much in a bad way.
So then again, like straight after that as well, though, there's another scene where Bubba's talking to Crawford, and this is where you kind of learn a bit more about Pretorius. Crawford is talking to Bubba, and he's like, every night I heard them guys fucking, women came round for fine wines and fine food and end up screaming, always screaming, and I just sat there and listened. What? What?
Can't tell if this movie is pro or anti perversion.
Anti-BDSM or pro-BDSM?
Yeah, it's kind of like on the line where I could see either way.
They have the brilliant idea to turn the machine back on.
Yeah, maybe she was on the fence whether it's real or not. And she later on explains her backstory, which is her father was schizophrenic.
Yep.
And then she always wanted to know what happened. So, she has that extra personal gain in this.
She comes in with the ultimate goal of trying to cure schizophrenia.
Yeah.
But then everything goes wrong.
But I really like the idea of, what if this mental disorder was not actually a disorder, but like some extra sensory thing where like people actually see things that are real. That's like a really creepy idea.
Yeah. This is where we meet Pretorius again. Turns out Pretorius hasn't died. He has been absorbed by the evil force, and now he seems to be able to manipulate his cells at will, and he can transform tentacles come out of his face and all that kind of stuff. And the more it goes on, the more he kind of becomes this gelatinous...
Yeah, it becomes the thing from Wish.com.
Yeah. To be fair, I like the practical special effects in this.
Yeah, it's more hit and miss in this than the thing.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
For sure, but for a low-budget movie, it's great.
Absolutely. They did very well with what they had.
They didn't spare any gelatinous goo.
No.
They put all the gelatinous goo on the people.
They have clearly emptied out every local supermarket of lube.
Yeah. Yeah, it was genuinely gross looking, so...
Yeah, it definitely worked. So this is where they turn off the machine and Bubba froze up.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about our viewing experience of this?
Oh, yeah. So we watched this on Freevee. It's the version of Amazon Prime that's with ads, free with ads. And so as soon as Bubba froze up, there was an ad for Big Mac.
McDonald's ad
Big
comes
Mac.
on the screen.
It should have been the other way around. That would have been even more perfect if there's an ad of Big Mac and then he froze up. There was a Samsung ad as well. They talk about it's in your head.
Of course, they've survived the first experiment. They're all talking about it. Everyone's survived. Bubba, again, is like audience perspective. He's like, right, we've seen it. He's not crazy.
Yeah.
Job done. Let's go. Crawford's still scared, sitting in a corner. But McMichaels is insisting they turn it on again. Mm-hmm. They give it another go and see what's what, because that always ends well.
Yeah. I feel like Bubba, the weak character in this, because I feel like in a better script he would be the main guy and his rationality would help him survive for longer.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my problems with this movie.
At this point, my note says the story is very Lovecraftian. They have really stuck to kind of like the way he writes and the way the story continues. Most of his stories are short stories, but there are some pretty long ones in there with like multiple chapters, and it does kind of follow that vibe all the way through. If you're reading it, you get a very good sense of, yes, this is Lovecraftian, but the second you step away from it, you can't really explain it.
Okay. I was gonna just ask, how do you explain that? But I guess you can't. Is it the element of this otherworldly mystery?
Yes, otherworldly mystery, they're very much the unknown. There's always someone who wants to investigate it and push it further. The only thing this film was missing that you have in most Lovecraftian stories is there's usually like an underground cult that follows the ancient demons or the mysterious voices. There's usually someone in the know, or at least they think they are. For while watching, if you've asked me, I'd have been able to kind of explain it. But now I've stepped away. It's like you kind of go into this Lovecraftian trance that takes you through a story.
That's cool.
Like this.
I was sure you'd hate this movie.
Yeah?
Because it's horror and it's horny. And there's two things I know you hate.
Yeah, the horny bit kind of, again, socially awkward. But, it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I wrote next was, she wants to turn on the machine. Get it? And this is the bit I was saying about earlier. Right, so there is a scene. Jeffrey Combs, I think he's asleep, but you do see, it looks like he's got a normal forehead, but something does kind of poke its way out of it.
Yeah.
Just for like that one scene. Okay, good. It wasn't just me.
Oh, no, I did see it. Because I've seen this movie before. I thought that happens way earlier in my head for some reason, the skinny dick that comes out of his forehead.
Penius gland.
The Penius gland. Because there's such a strong image for me connected to this movie. I, for some reason, imagine it happening way early on, but I guess not.
You make sense because it happens quite so late in the film, kind of like wanted to rewatch it and see if it had happened earlier, but I hadn't noticed.
Yeah, not only he had the little pulses on his forehead, he had like redness on his forehead before constantly. Well, that could be just from, because when they turn on the machine, they rub their forehead. It was like, oh, it hurts.
Oh, I see.
That could be from that, but I feel like if they do multiple takes, that wouldn't stay on. So I think that's a intentional choice.
Yeah, so they turn on the machine again, and obviously last time it was very controlled. It was very, they managed to turn it off because they just kind of went into it a little bit. This time everything starts going horribly wrong because I've written Wayoon, because Crawford and McMichaels start making out. They get distracted and they start making out in front of the machine, and that gives Pretorius a chance to nab the girl.
Yes.
I didn't really get, so ignoring the fact that he rips her dress off and starts funneling her, I didn't understand why Crawford's standing next to the handle, and Pretorius tells him not to flip the switch because it's kind of like a standoff where he might kill the girl if he flips the switch, that kind of thing. But so he doesn't have time to flip the switch, but he does have time to run down the stairs into the basement, fight a monster, and then pull the thing from the wall.
I don't think it was time. I think it was because Pretorius had McMichaels, Barbara Crampton. So the implication was that he would snap her neck or something like that.
Yeah.
Or take her over or something. And maybe that it was that if they turn on the machine that he could just turn it back on again and the same thing would
But that's
happen.
not established yet because they voluntarily turned the machine on at this point.
Okay. I thought it would be something like
But
that.
in the half a second it would have taken to just pull out the handle, because you don't need to put it all the way down. You just need to disconnect it from the top. So you pull out the handle and it's done. So why would he snap her neck if he, in the half a second he reached for the handle? If he's going to do that, why would he then let him leave the room, run downstairs, go to the basement, blah, 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 blah. Bubba runs into him. Bubba's
in
running
a
up the
speedo,
stairs.
where we can see everything.
You can actually see his dick through them speedos.
You can see his urethra. It's so tight.
So they run down to the basement. There's the worm from Dune down there. The worm from Dune eats Wayoon. He's halfway through
It's
eating
Crawford.
it. Oh, fucking hell. The creature from Dune eats Crawford. Halfway eats Crawford. At the same time, McMichaels is upstairs getting fondled, and Bubba manages to pull the electric cable from the wall, which of course makes everything reset. All the monsters disappear. Crawford is now bald for special effects reasons.
Well, yes. Well, the creature was eating his face, He also lost weight. Did you notice that?
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he kind of looked like Voldemort at the end of the Harry Potter when they go into the afterlife, and Voldemort is just like that in like a embryo pose. Whatever.
I don't remember that.
I only remember it from memes.
Yeah, so Crawford is bald. He's unwell as well, so he's lying in bed. They put him in bed. Obviously, they put him in bed in the BDSM room because why wouldn't you?
How many rooms are there?
There's quite a few. I mean, he lived in that house. He has his own bedroom.
That's true. Well, Bubba needs that room. Bubba's not gonna look at BDSM stuff. He's too weirded out.
Yeah, they're in the BDSM room, and McMichaels discovers her kinky side.
Yeah, this is where a lot of transformation happens from a mild-mannered psychiatrist to sex freak. Yeah, this is where she rapes Crawford.
Well, she starts to.
Yeah.
She's under the sheets.
Yeah.
She climbs on the sheets. But there is a lovely scene where she reaches under the sheets, touches his dick, and then licks her fingers clean.
Yeah.
Which just makes me feel sick inside.
A little bit, yeah. I think even if you're into dicks, that's a bit gross. Especially, how long was it since he showered?
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's been in there.
And he's been around goop monsters.
So while she's doing all of that, Bubba's trying to get everyone to leave the house again, the sensible thing. When he tells her they're leaving, she's in normal clothes, and she's like, we're leaving, I'll take you like that if I have to. He comes back and she's wearing full dominatrix gear. By the way, this is what I wanted to say while we're watching the film. Why does Pretorius have a female dominatrix outfit in his closet in McMichaels' size?
You're the fun police now. Come on. It's just a whatever. Come on.
Yeah, whatever, yeah. Just, it doesn't matter.
Stop being such a fun police.
Because even the lady in the video earlier in the thing
Yeah.
is not McMichaels' size.
No. One thing that bugged me, which is, more interesting, I think. Not this, like, nitpicky bullshit. Which is like, why isn't she into Bubba? And there was like a clear distinction. I don't know, but like if your horniness goes up by 1,000%, surely you'd be like...
My understanding was that because Crawford's further along in the whole being mesmerized by the machine and the universe behind the universe, that they would naturally pair up because they're both heading that way, whereas Bubba's very anti that, so he's less likely to be kind of enticed.
That scene is stuck out because I feel like she should have gone like, oh, join us or something.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting as well.
Yeah, but she's not. She kind of turned off immediately.
And then there's this bit, like, Bubba grabs her and he goes, is this what you want to be? Is this what you... And he turns around and just focuses on the giant mirror that's appeared on the wall.
Well, I mean, you know what that is, right?
I don't know what that is.
Oh my god.
Is it sex lessons
It's
with
just,
Daniel Prim?
It's time to learn about the flowers and the bees or whatever, the birds and the bees. It's time to learn about the birds and the bees with Rick Evans. So that's a regular kind of pervert thing. Is have the ceiling mirror and then look at yourself having sex in the mirror.
Yeah, this is a regular thing.
It is, yeah. I mean,
well, luckily I've never seen one. I've never been around someone's house and being like, oh look, there's a big mirror on the wall.
Yeah,
wonder what that's for.
Don't look up. You're so innocent.
This is like a wall mirror. It's like the size of a door.
Yeah, well,
hanging off the wall.
That's how much Pretorius was kinky.
You can tell how kinky someone is by the size of the mirror on their bedroom wall.
Yeah, by the square inch of the mirror. You can calculate the kinkiness of someone.
Every inch counts. Of mirror. Cool. So that goes badly for everyone. Bubba's trying to get them all out of the building. At this point, it's now that the machine turns itself on. Get it? They now have to find a way to shut the machine off, not just like by pulling wires out, because that doesn't work anymore, because it just everything connects again, but they've got to find something else. And they all run upstairs. Bubba gets an axe, chops through the wires. That doesn't work. The electric still works. The electric special effects should have bothered me, by the way, but they didn't. It was very of its time, and I can accept that.
Yeah, if it.
Yeah, just about.
It was kind of like Back to the Future lightning.
Yeah.
So very, very bright.
And turns out that you can hit it with an axe, you can submerge it in like water in a basement, you can throw bricks at it or whatever, but Achilles' heel for evil machines is a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, because it was a hot, horny machine and you needed to cool it down. If you're horny and you take a cold shower, it does the job. Makes sense to me.
Yeah. While this is happening, we see the penis gland come out of Crawford's head. Cut to the hospital, and Crawford's on the... It's really annoying because I've put Wayoon on all of my notes. Crawford is on the operating table, and his pineal gland is like coming in and out of his head, and Dr. Cockblock doesn't like his pineal gland being out, so
you'd be freaked out as well. Like you're operating on someone, and then the little skinny dick comes out of someone's forehead, and it was actually cute. It was like sniffing around, and like looking around.
And you don't think she was freaked out enough by this thing that was coming out of his head?
Yeah, this is where one problem for me in the movie comes up, which is at this point they should start to believe them.
Yeah.
Like totally. Like the whole story checks out. Skinny dick comes out of someone's forehead. That should be enough for you.
But instead of believing her, Dr. Cockblock decides instead to give McMichaels electroshock therapy.
Yeah.
Just out of spite.
Out of spite, and like in such a hurry. That was like, put her in a 5. It was like no test, no nothing. It's just straight to electroshock.
Electrocute the bitch.
Yeah. Well, their feud was, established. But still interesting. Like, surely, I know it was the 80s, but surely that was some, like, procedural thing. But I guess the nurse...
It's probably less procedure.
Maybe. But the nurse tries to speak up, I guess,
Yeah. I think even she says, like you say, like, there's procedures in place, and the Dr. Block's like, no, I don't care.
Yeah. Dr. Block don't block this procedure.
While this is happening, the one guard that's Crawford's room, it takes a walk. He decides to go chat up the nurse at the nurse's station.
But that's come on, that's in the theme of everyone's horny all the time.
Crawford at this point is guided by his pineal gland.
Yeah.
Finds some food on the table, eats the food that's on the leftovers, doesn't like it, spits it out, starts wandering the hospital, wanders into a room. Luckily for him, because he wants to eat brains, there's a brain in a jar on the floor.
Well, his pineal gland senses what he wants to eat, which is a brain.
Yeah.
There's lots of little jars and buckets and stuff.
Yeah. Do you think if you walked into a pathology lab in a hospital, you'd just find a brain in a jar on the floor?
I guess not on the floor, but maybe. Guys only want one thing.
What, brain in jars?
To eat brains, and they only guided by one thing, is the skinny dick penis gland.
This boy, yeah. I mean, he gets a taste for it.
Yeah.
He's starting to love the brains at the minute.
I think that scene should be more gross than it was, because it's very zoomed out.
Yeah.
And you can't really see it's a brain. You kind of just it kind of just looks like a pink mass.
It took me a while to figure out it was a brain.
Yeah.
Especially because you see it from his point of view through this kind of
that
filter.
Effect,
yeah, the weird filter, like the Predator filter.
Yeah, that's so outdated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there should have been more gross.
Yeah. And he doesn't really have much blood or anything in him. I'd have liked to see a really close up of him holding the brain with two hands. Mm-hmm. Kind of zombie.
By the end, I guess later on he has a streak, but not then.
Yeah. Because Block finds him and he starts sucking people's brains through their eyes.
Yeah, as you do.
They find the rest of the hospital staff, they start to panic. They find Block. You don't see them find Block, but you kind of goes back to McMichael's room, and she's strapped to a table about to have electroshock therapy, and the doctor comes in. Oh, we need help. We need to find this guy. Lock her in a room if you have to. And then everyone leaves, and the doctor that's about to give the lady electroshock therapy decides, no, I'm not going to leave her here firmly strapped to a table where she can't escape. I'm going to let her go. I'm going to unwrap all of her straps and then just lock the room just a little bit. That's his plan. And obviously, oh my god, he unstraps her arm and bam, he gets hit in the head.
Again, I think you're nitpicking a little bit, because
it's unstrap the mental patient.
Unstrap a mental, but he was supposed to escort her to a room that's lockable.
There you go.
That's what they tell him. And what should have happened, I think, is there should have been a guard there, but because there was chaos happening, the guards were everywhere and they were busy.
The guards were busy.
They were busy looking for the Penius man.
She escapes, and so Crawford sees her escape.
Crawford sees her taking the mystery machine, the mystery van.
At the same time, an ambulance comes in. They have a homeless man strapped to a gurney, and this is another funny bit as well, because one of the ambulance drivers walks off, gets attacked by Crawford, and the other ambulance driver walks around the corner. And at this point, the person's lying on the floor with their eye out, and they can see that, right? They can see this guy on the floor, and they're like, Jeff, are you okay? And then it cuts to Jeff, and he's sitting there with his eye out on the floor. I don't think Jeff's okay, love. Honestly, I don't think he's all right. I think he's having some problems.
Jeff, your eye fallen out again. Do you want any help?
Crawford then comes and attacks the second ambulance lady and drives off in the ambulance to the house. The house, by the way, as they park up, the house is on Benevolent Street.
Yeah, is that another Lovecraft thing?
I don't know.
Because it feels like it should
It does feel like it is, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's in the story.
Otherwise, it's really silly.
Yeah. After this, I'm going to go and read the short story. I'm going to try and find it on my... Because there's a collection of his stories called the Necronomicon, which I'm not sure if, Evil Dead stole or its name.
But Evil Dead is also from Lovecraft.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, that's probably the loosest adaptation. But yeah, it is, yeah.
There's 3 different parts where this film could have ended. It could have ended after the second attack in the house. It could have ended after the machine turns itself back on and they stop it for a third time. It could have ended in the hospital when they escape. And It could have ended like when they got to the house and they could have just destroyed the machine and be done with it.
I disagree. I think it's a nicely paced, short movie. It's just an hour and a half.
Yeah. I suppose you kind of have to justify its runtime, but it does feel like they kind of wrote a script, got to the end, and they're like, yeah, we're done. What? I need another 10 minutes. Oh, okay, fine. There you go, done. Another 10 minutes? Oh, come on.
No, I didn't feel like that.
Okay.
I feel like the ending was... Not that the ending was super satisfying, but I think that was the most satisfying ending they could have come up with based on the situation they set up.
It is a very Lovecraftian ending.
Yeah.
Nearly all of the stories that I've read end in this kind of like, what's wrong with the world is still out there. You just can't see or sense it, and it could come back again sometime if someone finds out how.
Yeah.
And the machine turns itself off and Bubba gets eaten by flies.
Yeah, that was a weird scene.
It didn't make sense either, because what was with the torch?
So the torch was... I'm not sure why he pulled it out to begin with.
Yeah.
But wherever he put the light, the creatures followed.
He shined it on Crawford. They flew away.
No, it went on him.
No? Because what made them go away then?
What made them go away is he drops the torch and the torch accidentally lights on him and bugs eat him.
Yeah.
Or grey pellets that someone's just shaking up. That's some of the lamest effects when
Yeah.
you see that up close. It's just like the bugs are just little grey pellets that clearly just someone's shaking from above. And then I really liked he becomes like a dollar store Poundland white skeleton basically with a human head.
McMichaels is back at the house, and it's a good thing as well. She's back at the house, and luckily for her, there was an Acme Dynamite store on the way on the way back to the house, because she stopped off at the Acme Dynamite store. She's bought some dynamite. She's bought a timer. Now she's back at the house.
Yeah, that came out. Not, just nowhere. Like I can't even justify that one in any way, shape, or form.
Because she gets back to the house at the same time Crawford gets back, so they've clearly left at the same time. She stopped for dynamite, and he stopped to have a wank. That's taken the same amount of time, and now they're back to the house together.
Was the timer at the same store? Is it like a buy one get one for free? Comical 24 style timer.
The infinite timer, where the seconds do not work.
Dragon Ball Z timer. 10 more seconds.
4 episodes later.
Yeah.
3, 2. Next episode.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just silly.
Keeps flipping between the two. That's the thing. It's like there's 30 seconds left, and there's a solid like minute or two of action.
Yeah.
And then it goes back, and it's like 17 seconds left. There's a fight between Crawford, Pretorius, McMichaels, and at some point in there, McMichaels bites off Crawford's head dick.
Yeah, well, that hurt. I don't want my head dick to be bitten off. This scene features some of my favorite special effects, and by favorite I mean the worst. Pretorius eats Crawford, and then Crawford fights from the inside.
Yep.
And then what happens, he pulls Pretorius's head to his stomach. And then they cut to Barbara Crampton on chaining herself or whatever. I'm not sure what happened there. But in the background, it's supposed to show that he's like struggling. And what that entails is the empty suit of the creature just jiggling on wires. And the cheap effect of the close-ups on Pretorius when he's like, they conveniently cut him off at the chin so you can't see that he's normal.
That's not the worst special effects in this film, though. Out of nowhere, and for no good reason whatsoever, when Crawford's running down the stairs, there's this strange CGI bat.
It wasn't CGI. That wasn't CGI yet. And if they were, they couldn't afford it.
There was. It was, yeah.
No, it was a puppet, but it was also on a blue or green screen.
Oh, okay.
And later on projected in the image of the thing. You can see like a very thick black outline.
Okay. Still, it was awful.
Oh, yeah.
Completely unnecessary.
It was unnecessary and barely see anyway.
Yeah.
It could have been cut out.
At this point, McMichaels is chained up. Earlier in the scene, Crawford's chained her into the BDSM thing, and the snakes start helping her. They bite her arm restraints, and they release her.
They don't help her. It's established earlier that they sense motion.
Okay.
So she started jiggling her hand, and they start biting at her wrist and the hand.
Okay.
And that's how she gets released.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's actually quite clever.
Yeah.
I thought it was like some weird other dimensional, they've decided they don't want to release the big bad kind of thing.
No. After that, she moves very carefully, and then she takes out the matches, and that's also like a movement plus light. They established with the flashlight that they respond to light as well.
Right, okay.
So it throws them as a distraction.
Right, I thought she was trying to burn the place down. Because the dynamite wasn't enough.
No, that was very clever, actually.
Yeah, that is very clever. I didn't get that at all. So she runs upstairs and the magical timer is on 3 seconds. And it actually goes 3, 2, 1, and she decides she's going to jump out the window.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be like some cool action thing. She's like walks away and,
No, because her knee is fully sticking out of her fucking...
Yeah. Talk about like, there's pineal glands, there's gross people pulling their faces off, there's gross goop monsters. But the grossest thing in this movie is she's just lying on the ground and her kneecap is just off the floor. And
It's really grim. It proper looks real at that point.
It does.
And what's funny is the neighbours are just standing around like, what? Just staring at her.
Yeah. So one of the neighbors says she called the fire department, they'll take you to the hospital. I feel like that might be a better option to take someone to the hospital, but I'm not sure.
I mean, there's a perfectly good ambulance sitting outside the house.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah. It ends with her starting to cry and scream, but it turns into like a laugh scream.
Yeah.
Which is great.
The implication is that she's now gone insane and she will spend the rest of her life in mental institutions. Because that's a very Lovecraftian ending where all of the protagonists go insane and no one believed them, but actually they were right and there's this very hidden evil around the world. There we go. And that was From Beyond by
Stuart Gordon. I'm surprised how much you like this film.
I'm surprised how much I like this film. I'm not sure if I would have liked this film as much if I hadn't already seen The Thing. The Thing led me to like practical special effects, which I really enjoyed, which makes me a lot more open to worse practical special effects.
That's interesting. I love this movie, even with its all silliness and all its faults. It's an interesting premise, especially the schizophrenics are not mentally unwell. They are actually seeing things. That's like a creepy idea to me.
Yeah.
I love all the performances, even Ken Foree. It's a very lovingly made film. They clearly worked hard on it.
Yeah, awesome.
What would you give it out of 10?
Oh my god. I'd struggle to go high because even though I did enjoy it, it is still not a film that I would choose to watch. I'd probably still give it like a 4 out of 10.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. I always want to ask you, like, with this out of 10, do you put your enjoyment?
Or how good it is.
Or how good it is.
My enjoyment.
Your enjoyment.
Yeah, because that's...
Then for me, it is an 8 out of 10.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really like this film.
Maybe like it comes down to as well, not just my enjoyment, but like a percentage of which I would recommend it.
Okay. For me, the kind of contrast is how much I enjoy it and how I can technically say it's good.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I like a lot of these kind of movies, so I'm going to enjoy them. But I know there's technical problems and not all of it makes sense, but whatever. I like it.
Cool.
We're going to watch Reanimator next, where Barbara Crampton gets eaten out by a severed head.
Yeah, lovely. No.
Oh.
No,
Okay.
no, not unless it's in the bag and it comes next. Yeah, now I'm wondering like how many patrons have actually put stuff in this bag and how much is just your evilness.
I'm quickly just filling the bag. Right, that's bag time.
Bag time. Rob,
Yeah.
Rise of the Foot Soldier.
Oh, God.
Marbella.
Yeah, this is the pick I was, other than Sausage Party. This is the pick I was worried about the most.
Okay.
Because there's one thing to, I don't know, if it's like an action series I've never heard of, that's really worrying. You know?
Okay. Oh god. So the original has Vinnie Jones in it. You can buy the 5-movie collection.
Whoa.
But
Why would you want
for
to?
only $14.79.
Do you think that 5-movie collection isn't just being sold from someone's grandma's basement? And
Vinnie Jones's grandma's.
they have to like dust off the boxes, you know. Grandma, where is the Foot Soldier movies?
Oh god. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. I feel like I'm not gonna enjoy this one.
I don't think anyone's going to enjoy this film.
Oh well, maybe it's funny.
I think we'll have some fun, regardless.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for engaging.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Like a gingerbread.